Late last night, leaked documents out of the Supreme Court shocked the nation. Could we see an end to Roe v. Wade?
And a local doctor charged with murder is heading back to prison.
And a Syracuse lacrosse star enters the transfer portal. All that plus your weather and orange sports coming up on this edition of Mornings on the Hill. Good morning, I'm Lauren Helmbrecht. Thanks for joining us for Mornings on the Hill.
And I'm Miles Hood. Here's a look at some of the top stories that we'll be talking about in our last show of the semester.
Breaking news out of Washington, D.C., a major turning point in Supreme Court history may be right around the corner. Our Morgan Scott is live in studio with more on the future of Roe v. Wade.
That's right. Politico has leaked documents revealing that the Supreme Court plans to vote to overturn the landmark Roe v. Wade decision, which has guaranteed a woman's right to have an abortion since 1973. In a draft opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito Jr., a majority of the court, which has 6 conservative justices and 3 liberals, voted to overturn the ruling, calling it, quote, abuse of judicial authority and egregiously wrong from the start. As the leaked opinion surfaced, many politicians took to social media to share their reactions. New Jersey Governor Murphy says it is truly a dark day in America and ensures that his state will not be following suit. Senator Sanders also mentions that if this was to happen, he in fact wants to go through a filibuster. And other politicians, Republicans, support the move and say the leak is a plan to pressure the court into making a different decision. If overturned, at least 13 states will immediately make abortion illegal, including Arkansas, Idaho, Kentucky, and Texas, just to name a few. The early leak of the documents is unprecedented in the Supreme Court's modern history. And while a draft opinion can reflect the thoughts of a judge before a decision is made, there is still a possibility of a change. The official decision is likely to come in the next 2 months. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Morgan. In the fallout of the Cuomo investigation, Kathy Hochul became New York's governor. And one of her biggest decisions, picking her lieutenant governor in order to help regain the trust of the state. But following his arrest on corruption charges, her pick, Democrat Brian Benjamin, has resigned, leading to the appointment of Republican Antonio Delgado, who will serve as New York's next lieutenant governor.
A former doctor is charged with killing his wife in their home, has been sentenced the second time on Monday to 20 years to life in state prison. Robert Newlander was sentenced in Onondaga County Court for the 2012 murder of his wife, Leslie. A jury found Newlander guilty of second-degree murder in 2015, and he was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. The original conviction 7 years ago was overturned due to a juror's misconduct. Leslie Newlander's death in September 2012 was initially ruled an accident after Robert Newlander told police she had slipped and fell in the shower. Prosecutors later contended that the OBGYN had killed her in a fit of rage. Newlander surrendered his medical license after his first conviction, and his defense attorney, Jonathan Bach, says that he intends to appeal the second one. The latest attack in the war on Ukraine is a steel plant in Mariupol. As Putin deems his efforts are to bring the Russians and Ukrainians back together as one country, Ukraine and the rest of Europe remains unsettled, even pushing the leaders of Finland and Sweden to contemplate joining NATO. NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg has said both countries would be welcomed if they decide to join the 30-nation military organization and could become members quite quickly. The members of NATO are scheduled to meet in Berlin on May 14th and 15th.
WNBA star Brittany Griner has been detained in Russia for the past 75 days, and now the U.S. government is getting involved. According to ESPN, the U.S. will no longer wait for the case to play out in Russia and says the White House will do whatever they can to bring her home. In the meantime, the WNBA announced it will add number 42 on every home court sideline in Brittany Griner's honor. An underground comedy club has made a name for itself in Syracuse.
Our reporter Calvin Milner is live with more.
If you're looking for a place to laugh on a Wednesday night, the playground is the place to be. From street view, you wouldn't know what's going on inside. You would just look, see a line, and wonder what's going on in there. So 311 Comstock is home to a comedy club named The Playground. A weekly comedy show ran by Syracuse University students was started with an idea by James Cunningham. Cunningham came to Sophie Schlosser with the idea of creating a comedy club because of the lacking scene in Syracuse, and they did so out of this makeshift basement.
Let's make an opportunity for comics to come and have stand-up mic opportunities on campus, and we were like, where's the best place to do it? And Liz said that she had an empty basement. So we checked it out. It was pretty trashed at the beginning, and we cleaned out the whole thing with the help of the awesome 311 girls, who are a really important part of our team as well. And we're all working together to create this like venue and this like innovative space for students to come and have a new creative outlet. So we kind of redid this whole basement to make it a comedy club. And at first we wanted it to kind of stay underground, and then it got so much traction within the first weeks that we were like, okay, like this is becoming almost like a real business, so let's do this.
The group of people who created The Playground is comprised of juniors and seniors. Sarah Goodwin, a senior in the Newhouse School, does not see this as short-lived, but also did not expect such a large attendance rate when forming The Playground.
When we started this, we had absolutely no idea how many people were going to be lining up outside of our door every single Wednesday. People line up at literally 7 o'clock, an hour before the doors open, which is an hour and a half before the show. And it's because when you come down in this basement, you're literally transported to like a different dimension. Now that we've kind of put our heart and soul into building it up, and we're all working overtime just trying to make something really special here, to leave it is going to be the most difficult thing. And I just really hope we're leaving it into good hands.
Last week was the last show of the semester, but that was only in the playground, in the basement. This Friday, they will be having a comedy show in McCarthy Mercantile at 8 p.m. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Calvin Milliner.
Coming up on Mornings on the Hill, our Allison Turner lets us know what you can expect from the skies this week.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to your last weather update of the semester. Now, for all of my fellow warm weather lovers, I have some exciting news. Right now, it is about 57, but it's going to warm up today with a high of 72. It'll be pretty cloudy, but it won't be super windy, with winds at about 3 miles per hour, and there won't be any rain. So it'll be the perfect day to get outside, go on a walk, have a picnic, even study for finals on the grass if you want. I definitely recommend taking advantage of today's warm weather because, as we've learned, it can come and go really quickly in central New York. And that leads me into tomorrow. It definitely isn't going to be as nice as it will be today. The high will be about 60 degrees, and then it'll kind of go back into the 50s, even into the 45s. So make sure you grab your rain jacket too, because it's gonna be raining. Even grab an umbrella if you want, even though it's not gonna be super heavy. It may not be the best way to end the spring semester classes, but that gives you more of an incentive to get outside today and take advantage of the nice weather. But don't worry, tomorrow's chilly weather won't be staying for too long, because as we look into the next week, we'll be seeing some warmer temperatures into the weekend. Could the cold weather be behind us? Could it finally be time to put away the heavy winter jackets and all of the snow boots? Let's hope. Highs will be in the kind of low, maybe even mid 60s with some beautiful sunny skies. And look, not a drop of rain at all. As the week progresses, it's going to get a little bit warmer day by day, even getting to 66 on Sunday and 72 on Monday. Even though we'll all be busy studying for finals, writing papers, working on projects, it's going to be a great weekend to get outside and get some fresh air. Hopefully this warm weather is here to stay, and we can finally keep the sunshine and blue skies for longer than a day or two at a time. That's all for today's weather update and for the semester. I'm Allison Turner. Back to you, Lauren and Miles.
Thanks, Allison. This spring, $2 million of taxpayer money is going to be spent planting trees. Trees are an important part of the community that sometimes gets overlooked.
But as Ari Horton reports, project supporters say that for Syracuse neighborhoods that lack trees, it's money that needs to be spent.
That's right, Miles, and I don't know if you can hear it, but right now I hear birds chirping. But just imagine if you woke up and walked outside and didn't hear that chirping. Now that is just the reality for some residents in Syracuse.
It's spring, and right now almost all the trees in Syracuse have no leaves, but in a couple months they will be full and green. Some neighborhoods don't have that luxury though.
And what happens is a lot of times the most challenged neighborhoods, the ones where a lot of our folks who are maybe of lower income live, those are the neighborhoods that don't have much trees.
I'm looking at a map of income in the city of Syracuse. The lighter colors that you see here represent poorer communities, while the darker colors on the outskirts represent richer communities. Now this is a map of Syracuse on a summer day. The orange, red, and yellow represent hotter surface temperatures, while the blues and greens represent cooler surface temperatures. Income map, surface temperature map. Income map, surface temperature map.
And what we know nationwide, this is an issue in city after city, is that if you look at a map of canopy cover in a neighborhood, it's analogous to a map of income.
People living in those neighborhoods feel the effects, especially during the summer.
Temperature disparities, some places are going to get extremely warm. That's not going to be so healthy for medically fragile communities, not going to be so good for elderly populations.
Overheating isn't the only problem seen in low canopy areas.
You can't say causation, but you can certainly say correlation. Lowest canopy neighborhoods consistently have the lowest air quality. They consistently have the highest asthma rates.
And that's for Mornings on the Hill. I'm Ari Horton.
Buying a home is the American dream, and the excitement that comes with seeing a for sale sign these days means a little something different. Our Mornings on the Hill reporter Raven Brink explains what the current housing market means for those hoping to buy a home.
For some, it's only a dream. But when looking for a home, there are a lot of expectations that come with the purchase. It's your front lawn, a backyard for your dog, and a place to start your new life.
When starting your house journey, you might think that getting a loan is the hardest part. But Joseph Doherty here at Genesee Regional Bank says that's not the case. The current housing market is creating a supply shortage.
If you want to win in this market and be a homeowner, you have to be extremely aggressive. And that means qualifying for the max amount that you have, paying over the list price or the ask price for a house. It's supply and demand. So, the lower the supply, the higher the demand, and that drives up prices.
And Doherty says this is uncomfortable for buyers because the process has become so fast-tracked that it leaves less time to think before taking action, like waiving a home inspection.
So I'm doing upwards of 2 inspections a week of people who have already purchased their house, just moved in and want to know what is going on with their house. Prior to this bizarre real estate cycle, I did maybe 2 a year of those.
Since 2017, we've been in a seller's market, meaning sellers have the upper hand. COVID exacerbated this. And in 2021, when interest rates fell to lows of 2.5%, this created a buying frenzy that actually put buyers in a tough spot.
The median home prices have gone up, and people are overpaying, I would say, in more than half of the situations right now, and probably closer to like 80% of the time.
Like here at 303 Orwood Place, where the price is well above average for the Syracuse market, and in just over a decade has more than doubled. And with the supply of housing being so short, there are still those who started off their 2021 still looking for a house to call their own.
We've had people that we've pre-qualified that have been looking for houses for over a year, and they, for whatever reason, it takes a toll on you, because when you want to buy a house, it's like the American dream. And you start thinking about all these things, the yard, a place for your dog, or to raise a family. And so all these emotional components go into buying a house.
Raven Brink.
Food insecurity continues to be an issue around the nation and in the local area. Our Marcus Vila is back with another organization that's helping combat the problem. Marcus?
Thanks, Miles. If you've been on University Avenue on a Friday from about 10 to noon, then you've seen UUMC's food distribution. And with inflation not expected to fall back down anytime soon, another organization is doing what they can to make an impact.
It's a word you've heard all over the news, inflation. It's why almost everything is so expensive nowadays, especially grocery shopping.
Just avoiding some of the things I would buy on a normal basis, I don't anymore because of the prices alone.
According to the Labor Department, prices of consumer goods rose by 8.5% so far in 2022, the largest year-on-year increase since February of 1981. Lori says even the cheaper items are getting more expensive.
I mean, the bananas, it looks like they've got them in a freezer for a week and then they bring them out in the morning, and by afternoon you bring them home and they're already brown and you're paying twice as much.
Inflation definitely isn't helping Syracuse, as it's already a city that deals with the largest family and child poverty rates in the country, according to the new census data released in March. How people are responding is by distributing food to people that need it, like what happens at the University United Methodist Church. Every Friday morning, UUMC sets up a food pickup service as their way to combat food insecurity. But first, what is food insecurity?
Food insecurity means that you are struggling to feed yourself or your dependents a meal each day. It can be several meals, it can be just one meal. You don't know where your next meal is coming from.
This service started in response to the pandemic, but they know this is an ongoing issue for Syracuse. Volunteers understand that a simple thank you they hear goes a long way.
But they say thank you, and they say it from their heart. That's what I think about when I'm thinking about food insecurity and people.
And for Beth, it's the least she can do.
All of these folks are helping me without strings, without judgment, without contingencies. Then I feel we are touching people in our community and maybe paving the way for some understanding.
Yeah, guys, and it was an incredible event. Lots of volunteers every Friday, and overall, they're really passionate about helping out in Syracuse and in the community. Reporting live on Syracuse, I'm Marcus Veal for Mornings on the Hill.
Marcus, and that church is just blocks away from Newhouse, so if students are interested in volunteering, they can stop by to learn more about how to distribute food. Now, everyone sees smiles after crossing the finish line, but what they don't see is what goes on outside of sports. Our Caitlin McCarthy shines a light on one special athlete.
Thanks, Lauren. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans suffer with mental illness. And keep that in mind because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Now, it's just not students and not just parents that suffer, but also athletes can suffer as well.
Richard Samuels from Wallkill.
Track and field. It's the sport he's been doing since he was 12. All-Atlantic Regional Team Selection are just to name a few.
To me, it felt like it was one of the things that I was just really good at.
It was also the thing that kept him going.
I have to keep myself focused, and I loved it so much that it made sure that I was staying on top of my grades.
Behind all the smiles and medals, there was something bigger going on inside him.
It was like dark, and you could just you could feel the mood was really down, and that's not like him.
It was freshman year when he realized he had inherited his mother's depression. After keeping it inside for so long, he gained the courage to speak up.
It got to a point where I felt like I needed to tell someone. And once I told someone, once we had the conversation, it just got better. It felt better. It felt nice to talk about it and be heard, of course.
And the pandemic didn't help with his depression. After traveling down to North Carolina at a chance to become an All-American, it was cut short due to the pandemic.
He was the only distance kid going, and we were rallying behind the fact this kid's coming back an All-American.
But luckily, he still has another season of doing what he loves while pursuing his master's degree.
I knew that I wanted to get out there. I want it to be ready for when the time comes, when I'm able to compete again.
Like I mentioned before, it's not just students, parents, or athletes that struggle with mental illness. It affects everyone. Last week, we learned that country singer Naomi Judd committed suicide, and she was just 76 years old. Reporting for Mornings on the Hill, I'm Caitlin McCarthy. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Caitlin. Man, that was a powerful story right there. And stick around for the latest on Q's sports, from the kids to the college campus, when we come back.
The Syracuse men's lacrosse program has been around for over a century, and in that time, they have never lost double-digit games. That was until the Orange finished this season 4-10. It's also the first time since the 70s they didn't win 5 games. And now the Orange's leading goal scorer and All-American Tucker Dornovic is entering the transfer portal. And for what that means for Gary Gates' team, our Ari Horton joins us live outside the Dome. Ari, good morning.
Right. Good morning, Thomas. Well, we know that the Syracuse men's lacrosse team ended their season this past Sunday, and Dordovic said on Instagram that he would be entering the transfer portal. Now, I know that this is a long note, but the main key points in the announcement, Dordovic said that he came in with his band of brothers, and those are the same people that he wants to go out with. He goes on to say that this chapter of his life has come to an end, and he expressed a lot of gratitude for the coaches and the experience that he has had. Now, this past March, Dordovic did say that he would be returning for his 6th and final year of eligibility, and it seemed like Dordovic was far from making an impact on the Orange. Now, this past season, among all of the awards and recognition Dordovic received, he led the team in goals scored this season with 47 and led the team in all points. Now, the Orange fans do have something to look forward to with the Orange bringing in the #1 recruit this upcoming season, as well as getting Owen Hiltz back from an injury. Thomas?
Thank you, Ari. On the other side, the SU women's lacrosse team finished the regular season 13-4. However, they were upset in the first round of the ACC tournament by Virginia 18-14. Now Kaylee Trainer's team will have a week off. They have to wait and see if they get a first-round home game in the NCAA tournament. In the latest Inside Lacrosse poll, the Orange dropped 3 spots to number 5. The NCAA bracket will be released on Sunday. To the high school game where the season begins to wind down in the spring season as teams get ready for sectionals. But that doesn't mean there isn't good action on the field. It's 2 of the best in Class A, CNS hosting Baldwinsville. In the first, Beeville's Carson Dial, he spins, then dekes, and puts the Beeville Bees up 1-0. On the attack again, Beeville goes tick, tack, toe in front. Reese Gilmore makes it 3-0. Beeville got up 5-0, but CNS would cut into the lead. John Carter from the top. That makes it a 3-goal game, but too much Beeville as they win 12-4 the final. On the girls' side, Watertown and Fayetteville Manlius facing off in a non-conference game. In the first, FM strikes first. Juliana Colandro makes the acrobatic grab, finds the back of the net, 1-0 Hornets. Ava Angelo was on a tear. She had 7 goals on the afternoon, and then Melanie Stanger would do it herself, bounces this one in. Hornets take down the Cyclones 14-6. The Syracuse Crunch are red hot, winners of their last 6 games and riding a 12-game winning streak at home. The Crunch have locked up the #2 seed in the North Division, but tonight they figure out who they play, finishing the regular season hosting Laval in a makeup game from December. The Crunch putting their winning streaks on the line. In the first, Nick Perbix puts a shot on net. Gage Gonclaves cleans it up. Crunch take an early lead. But that would be the lone high note of the night. Pass inside, Nate Sharner lights the lamp, and we're tied at 1. Rockets on the power play later in the first. Cedric Parquet with the redirect in front. Laval takes the lead, and they don't look back. Syracuse falls by a final of 5-1. These 2 teams will now face each other in the first round of the AHL playoff. Crunch hosts Game 1 on Friday. After having their last 2 games postponed due to COVID, the Syracuse Stallions were back in action. Cuse won the first game of the weekend over Lehigh Valley, now looking to make it back-to-back wins, taking on Connecticut. Stallion and Cobras from Liverpool High School. It's been the additions for the Stallion making a big difference. Former Buffalo standout Justin Moss was signed in early April, and he's been leading the team in scoring. He kept that going tonight with 27, leading all scores. Stallions were up 1 at the half. Another newcomer and former Rutgers player, Dane Miller, making his return to the Stallions, throwing that one down. He also had a triple-double, including 17 points. Stallions run away with this one, 123-101. Their next game is at Reading. The annual campus kickball game between Z89 and Citrus TV took place over the weekend. Our Calvin Cristoforo played in the game and tell you what went down.
Stanley, Piston, Watson. Those are the names that come to mind when you think of the most famous cups in sports. And when you think of the greatest dynasties in the history of those cups, you think of the Montreal Canadiens in the 1950s, Doc the Hudson Hornet in the 1960s, and now the word dynasty can be thrown around with the current staff of Z89. The squad, in which now are some calling the Evil Empire, took down Citrus TV 3-2 in 8 innings in the annual kickball game between the two media organizations to grab its 5th straight Watson Cup victory. Now, the game was tight all throughout. Z89 took a 2-1 lead into the top of the 7th inning in just a 7-inning contest, but Citrus tied it up and had the bases loaded with nobody out. But a huge double play got the 89ers out of the inning, and the squad walked it off with a Zach Goldman sac fly in the bottom of the 8th. The tandem, which most now just refer to as the Big Belly Brothers in myself and Miles Hood, combined to go 0 for 4 at the dish, but Miles hit a pair of screamers to finish with that 100% hard hit ball percentage, and the brothers played a stellar defense at the corners. I, of course, had those 2 great catches. As far as the Citrus side goes, our very own Thomas Cook was notably absent from the game, and some are calling that the difference. So Z89 wins its 5th straight Watson Cup and will go for win number 6 next year. And if you don't remember any of this, I'll leave you with this photo. If you look up how to kick a kickball in your favorite web browser, you'll probably find this picture. Does this look like a guy who went 0 for 2 on the day? No, it doesn't. But hey, I look forward to going to the lab this offseason, improving my game, and trying to help Z89 win its 6th straight title next year.
Thanks, Calvin. Still to come here on Mornings on the Hill, the Met Gala came and slayed last night, and we spotlight a student that's investigating the Skyline Apartments here in Syracuse. What has she found? We'll have those stories and more just ahead. Spotlight team has been busy putting the finishing touches on 2 major investigations. Here to tell us about those investigations is Spotlight investigator Morgan Scott. Morgan, your investigation involved the notorious Skyline Apartments, which has seen a number of high-profile crime cases.
Yes, Lauren. So my investigation centered on Green National, the owners of Skyline Apartments, and 9 other apartment buildings here in the city. Throughout the investigation, we found total negligence on the part of the owners across the board. As you mentioned, there have been a number of high-profile crimes within their buildings, including the murder of 93-year-old Connie Torrey in her own apartment. Let's hear a little from one tenant at Skyline.
The catalyst for everything going downhill was the death of Connie Torrey. It's just been a nightmare. They were mandated by the mayor's office and the police department to have 24/7 security. We don't have it. That is not the management's fault here in the building. That is on Green Properties.
That is Mary Tillman, who has lived in Skyline for 5 years. Her apartment is actually doors away from Connie's apartment where that murder took place. There are about 20 lawsuits against Green National right now, and our investigation really dives into that as well.
So Morgan, what would you say the biggest issue is with Skyline?
So, Lauren, that's a pretty loaded question. On the surface level, we see a lack of proper security, allowing strangers to enter and exit the building as they please. That's actually how Victoria Effett was able to enter Skyline and commit that murder. Through our review of some lawsuits, we also found that several other tenants were either robbed, assaulted, or had their house broken into by the same person or just another random. The bigger issue is a lack of incentive by the owners to really take care of the buildings or fix the other issues tenants may have, like no heat, no water, no hot water, I should say, mice infestation, and so many other things.
That does sound like a large list of issues. Is there anything that the city can do to help these tenants?
So the city is actually a part of a lawsuit, and they also have the strong backing of the Attorney General. And they're both in a fight to have Green National either sell their properties or make a complete 360 turn. But in order to sell, they would have to fix everything and the building would have to be up to par, which we have not found to be the case. So we'll see what happens from there.
We look forward to seeing the completed work. Thank you, Morgan. And we should note this is part of Professor Osmond's investigative reporting class, BDJ 530.
Yesterday was the first Monday in May and the most anticipated night in fashion. Get excited because I am here to break down the 2022 Met Gala looks. The theme, In America, an anthology of fashion. There were so many fits from the A-list stars, from best dressed, and some who didn't quite understand the assignment. Oh yeah, we're going there. Our newsroom was buzzing over Blake Lively's beautiful Versace dress. She paid attention to detail with an ode to the Statue of Liberty, and the front of her gown was based off of the architecture of the Empire State skyscraper. I have two words for you. Cardi B. I gasped when I saw her stunning look. The rapper was head to toe in glittery gold, featuring chains all throughout her dress. Oh, and I cannot forget about Jack Harlow. He was looking fly as always in a simple yet elegant dark chocolate tux. And now, the worst dressed. We were rooting for her. We were all rooting for her, but Kylie Jenner did not come through. There's a lot to unpack here. The off-white wedding dress featured mesh, a baseball cap, and flowers. Her look was on theme, but just too overwhelming. Kylie normally never disappoints, so I know the model will bounce back for next year's Met. Now to one of the most memorable nights in fashion, to the most memorable show on campus. Every week, our Mornings on the Hill crew meets in the newsroom bright and early, but this Tuesday, the gang is signing off. I spoke with some of the team to learn about their favorite memories this semester.
My favorite MOTH memory is not just one memory, it's the entire semester. I always look back on the final day of our final class with a little emotional trepidation. This is a semester where I get to meet a lot of young, talented broadcasters who are all game ready, who are truly dedicated to their craft, who are dedicated to being here early on a Tuesday morning, meeting on Zoom on Sunday nights. So it's not just one memory, it's just a memory of a lot of really talented young people and a strong desire to keep in touch with them, including the guy behind the camera here.
There was this one time that Miles brought in munchkins.
So my favorite MOTH memory, every Tuesday we all color coordinate. Red, we've done pink, we've done Mardi Gras colors. I love it. We have some fashion icons in this group, but I just enjoy switching it up every single week. And then it's also a surprise for you guys.
So my favorite MOTH memory, if I had to pick one, I mean, I've been doing this for a couple semesters now, is definitely just the people and their drive to want to get better every time they walk into the newsroom. You know, these are people that walk in with different levels of experience, every single person. But it's kind of crazy to see where it ends up at the end of the semester, how we all make one cohesive broadcast. And I think more than anything else, like, we just become a tight-knit family. And so this is going to be a family that I carry with me and stay in contact with for the rest of my professional career, and I'm really excited to see where they all go, because at the end of the day, everybody here is so talented. So I'm excited for everyone's success, and it's been one heck of a semester.
My favorite MOTH memory was a couple weeks ago. The weather had changed from what we thought was spring back to winter, and we were all kind of griping about it in the newsroom. And so I made a little mini package of what fake spring was, and I thought it was just super funny that we were able to come up with an idea in the newsroom and then get it on air within like an hour.
Hi everybody, I'm Raven Brink. I'm your executive producer. I usually work in here. You don't see me on screen, but I, in fact, do have my own moth memories that are my favorite. I'd have to say that this team is incredibly talented, and the amount of times that we have broke news before Twitter, before it hits any other social media platform, has definitely been my favorite, because it just makes me feel like we're really in a newsroom and like we're really breaking down stories and like hitting on hard news before big brands like Twitter do, and it's just like really exciting, and I'm so excited to see where everyone goes after this.
For the last time, Nia Lucky, Mornings on the Hill.
You know, I think we can all agree that everyone's a little bit happier with a little mornings on the hill, you know? And I think everybody's also a little bit happier when they're smelling a scent that they love. See, Febreze has made that easy to find by looking to the stars. Well, astrology, that is. See, with Febreze Car Astrology collection, 12 car scents have been perfectly paired to match each of the zodiac signs, just as the cosmos intended. Now, Febreze partnered with celebrity astrologer Eliza Kelly to design each scent. After reviewing the dozens of available Febreze car scents, Kelly considered the preferences and needs of each sign, thoughtfully linking personality and scent, and the result? 12 pairings that provide a more personal smelling experience. Now check this out. We're gonna run it through real quick. Aries, that's what I am. You know, they have an ember scent. Taurus is lush. Gemini has a fresh scent. And for the Cancer signs, it's a moonlit breeze scent. Leos is a paradise. Virgos are linen and sky. Libras get an interesting one. They get leather. That's pretty cool. Now Scorpio is midnight. And of course, Sagittarius is a wilderness scent. Capricorns are evening woods. Aquarius is platinum ice. And Pisces get a little bit of that ocean breeze smell, you know? Febreze, they'll be giving away a limited amount of these car astrology collections in keepsake zodiac themed boxes to a select number of winners beginning May through the end of the month. Now, winners will be chosen randomly, and anyone who doesn't get to receive one can still purchase the Febreze car scent that corresponds with their zodiac sign at a range of retailers across the country.
Thanks, Miles. I know I want my car to be smelling good very soon. So before we go, this is our final show, and we just want to say we could not have done this without some of our favorite people behind the scenes. That includes our professor, Keith Copeland, the folks in the director's office, Jill and Rox, and our lovely IAs. Now that's going to do it from us for Mornings on the Hill. I'm Lauren Helbrecht. Follow us on social media.
And I'm Miles Hood. Thank you for watching Orange Nation. Thank you all semester. Mama, I love you. We'll see you guys around.